Hi, everyone. Hello, hello, welcome. We'll just give it a couple of minutes to let everybody sign on. But I'd encourage you all to introduce yourself in the meantime. Say hi in the chat. We've got people on from everywhere. I hope it's not too late for some of you. Bear with us. We'll just give it till, oh, here we are. There we go.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Lizzie.
Welcome. Hello, hello.
Welcome. Hi, Lisa.
Hello. Hello for me.
Hi, Lisa. Right, I guess we can start to kick off. So, like I said, I'd encourage everyone to say hi in the chat and use the Q&A section for any questions you might have that come up throughout the boot camp. So I think let's get started, or should we give it another couple of minutes?
I think we can start. People will catch on. Also, just to remind everyone that you will get a full recording of everything that we'll do here today, along with the slides. So don't worry about that. Don't keep asking in the chat. As soon as everything is like fully recorded, we will send you the full. Everything is fully processed. We will send you a full recording. Feel free to submit your questions in the Q&A section of Zoom. As you may have seen already, the chat is quite busy, so your questions can be easily lost there. And today with us we have Stephanie and Cosmas from our customer support team. They will be answering questions as we go along. Also, me, Lizzie, and Elisa will be here throughout the entire workshop, trying to provide as much assistance as we can so that you can complete all the assignments that are ready for your certification. So, shall we go ahead, Lizzie, with the presentation?
Yep, let's get started. So we just want to say hi, we're LearnWorlds. If you've not heard of us before, we're an online course platform and we help you to sell online courses or educate customers and train employees. We do internal and external training. So today we just want to talk you through everything we've learned so far about ChatGPT and AI and how it can help with course creation. We've done a couple of these sort of shorter webinars, and now we think we're ready to do a workshop and help you guys get a little bit more knowledge about this topic and get certified. So today the speakers are Panos, who is our co-founder and CEO, and Elisa, who is a learning designer at LearnWorlds. And then I'm going to be chipping in a little bit throughout the session to help out. I'm Lizzie. I'm from the marketing team, so I've helped put together the event today. So,
Lizzie, too modest to add your own picture, but we have her here.
Thanks. Right, so the agenda today will be going through sort of some high-level understanding ChatGPT and what AI can do for course creation, analysing the learning problem. So that we'll just start with a couple of hints and tips and tricks and hacks along the way through each of these parts of the agenda. So then setting the learning objectives and goals, then finally creating the course outline, developing the content of the courses, and assessing the learning programs. We will then move into a section of the bootcamp where we will demonstrate how we use ChatGPT and our AI integration to develop a course. and then we'll give you some time to start workshopping some scenarios as well. We'll try and get through as much as we can as quickly as possible, because we'd like to give you the last hour back so you guys can go away, get everything you need, have a look through the assets that we're going to provide you with within the course, and then do the assessment within that time if you feel like you want to do it. I know it's quite late for some of you, so feel free to do it later in the week. We'll send you all the details you need to get certified. The assessments should only take about half an hour, so we'll give you hopefully about half an hour to read through everything we've given you, and maybe carry on with some of the workshopping.
And because I see a relevant question, yes, of course, you will have the time. If you cannot attend the full 3-hour session today, you will have time later to go on, complete your assignments and submit them. We will give you some information later about where to sign up and where to submit all the workshop scenarios that you have worked. So try to keep along with everything that we do. We will start with a very small amount of theory, trying to understand what GPT is and how it works, so that we can go right away into the most interesting and creative parts about why it works the way it works, what is prompt engineering, and how we can use it to design our own courses. And then we'll see many specific examples and scenarios about how some effective and creative prompt engineering can give you some amazing results. Everything that we'll be doing here today, you can also replicate using Chat GPT just on your own. But obviously, it would take several hours, even days and weeks of training. So we'll try to help you hit the ground running, give you ready-made prompts that you can just repurpose for your own courses, for your own interests, and experiment with that. And also, we will give you access to the LearnWorlds platform itself that includes a Chat GPT integration. So if you don't have your own account, or if you don't have the time to set up a Chat GPT fully functional account, you will be able to accomplish everything that we'll showcase in today's workshop just within a LearnWorlds trial. Nothing requires any payment or anything like that. You can just do it with a free trial, which then you can just forget. So let's start talking a bit about, and also the certification, which is an important part. As we mentioned, we don't have to complete it today. We will give you time afterwards to go in, put in your credentials, submit your work, and get access to your certificate.
The certification is free for a time at the moment as well. We've just released it. This is our first workshop, so it's going to be free for a limited time. So you'll get that link at the end of the workshop, and you can get signed up and get going with it.
Great. So now let's start talking a bit about Chat GPT, what it is and how it works. There is a common pattern among many people, especially in the creative industries, where people are afraid of being replaced by Chat GPT. Creative workers, writers, bloggers, authors, any white-collar worker, actually. There is this debate happening now about whether Chat GPT will replace us. Well, what we're saying, our premise here in everything that we do in LearnWorlds, and how we are trying to approach this new technology, groundbreaking technology, and how we are incorporating it within our own platform and within our own process and within our own way of work, is that AI will not replace us, but the person using AI, they will. Because they can be much more productive, they can use their skills to the fullest extent, and they can create an order of magnitude more output, and in some cases even higher quality output than any single worker could do within a day's work. So AI can act as a sidekick, as a catalyst of the skills that you already have, the things that you already know, your creative work. And you can see how it's not a super reliable sidekick. You will still have to keep checking everything that it does, especially about facts. It's not good with facts. It's great with language. It's an amazing wordsmith, but anything that has to do with facts, and everything has to do with material that you or resources that you use from the web, all these things have to be fact checked. So you have to be right there by its side. But as a sidekick, it can boost your productivity, it can boost your creative capacity, it can boost your output, and we know that's something that course creators can really benefit from that output. So let's start understanding a bit more about how it works and how we can use this catalyst to maximize our output. Here we are asking ChatGPT itself to tell us a couple of things about what it does. So ChatGPT is an AI language model, a large language model, or LLM as they're being called, developed by OpenAI, which used to be a non-profit and now it's a for-profit company. So its purpose is to generate human-like responses to natural language prompts provided by users. It's based on the ChatGPT 3.5 architecture, and this is the one that our own API uses today, which uses deep learning techniques to understand and generate natural language text. And here I would like to say that it's not just text that it creates, but any kind of structured output. It could be tables, it could be even music in some cases, it could be computer code, it could be HTML code for designing web pages, it could be poems, it could be jokes, everything that involves some language or derivatives of a language structured information. This knowledgeable and intelligent assistant has been trained using vast amounts of text. It has read billions upon billions of web pages, ebooks, things that are available in public libraries, even private conversations. And based on this vast amount of text, it has created an abstract model of what the world is. It's, as I mentioned, it's not good with facts at all. In fact, some of the versions of ChatGPT have very limited access to the web and have been trained with material that was accurate, up to date until 2 years ago almost. But now with the new versions of ChatGPT, it can be enhanced, it can access web pages, so the factual part can be complemented. As you may have read though, or listened, it is liable to hallucinating and inventing facts that are structurally very sound, very plausible. They look as being accurate, but they're not accurate themselves. This is where we have to be more aware and alert about what we're creating. A prompt now is the process of instructing AI to do a task. It's effectively a command that we give to an AI. And a prompt can be a message, a question, a statement, a request, a set of instructions, or any kind of other structured input that we can give to ChatGPT in a dialog box, in another kind of format, or in computer code, so that we can ask it to perform certain tasks for us. Garbage in, garbage out. It's a very frequently mentioned maxim in computer science. So the more accurate the prompts that we give to an AI, the better answers we can get. The more the easier we will be able to help ChatGPT to find the relevant parts of knowledge within its vast repository, so that we can get answers that are better tailored to our own specific use case, to the kind of subject matter that we are trying to teach, let's say, to the kind of audience that we have in our mind, to the kind of language type, style, style of voice that we wanted to create. So prompt engineering, it's not exactly a science. I guess it's half science and half art. It's like trying to, in some cases, to communicate with a child, or with a savant that is not particularly bright in some cases. And there, the more many people have spent a numerous amount of hours to try to create prompts that work. So it's definitely not a computer language. It's not something that has been that is always based on concrete engineering terms. But especially here, with the kind of framework that we are going to share with you today, we have spent numerous amount of hours, and we have created thousands of examples and use cases in order to generate prompts, which means like sets of instructions that are detailed enough to help you get some amazing results out of ChatGPT. So one can always communicate with ChatGPT using plain human language. This is what eventually ChatGPT, the next versions of ChatGPT will be able to do, where prompt engineering will not be required. Let's say that now we are in an initial state where ChatGPT needs some help. So the more structured our prompts are, the better the ChatGPT can understand what we're asking from it and can give us meaningful results. And in this particular case, the framework that we'll show you is all about course creation, how you can create an entire course from the initial, let's say, table of contents all the way to very specific ebooks, paragraphs, entire chunks of text, assessments, or anything else within your course. So here is an example of a ChatGPT prompt. We are asking ChatGPT, we are telling to ChatGPT how to act, what role we want it to take. So we tell it that we want it to act as a professional course creator. Already, this sets it up in ways that are meaningful to us. So it will not talk back as a child, as a random stranger, but it will try to emulate all the vast amounts of text that it had read about, let's say, professional kind of language. We further tell it that the ChatGPT has identified that his target audience consists of busy professionals who struggle to balance their work and personal lives. Already, we create a much narrower space within which the ChatGPT will form. And then we ask it to provide some best practices for designing an effective course on time management to help that particular audience. So here is a full example, a full answer, a full response that is generated by ChatGPT. So with our prompt, we have already set the stage. We have specified to ChatGPT how to act, what is the target audience, what is the setting within which we expect it to operate, and this is the output that we get, which is already very, very decent for a time management course. This is something that I guess any expert trainer here could do much more work, much better work in getting this done, but probably not within 30 seconds that ChatGPT responds. So this is the amazing help that it can give to you just based on volume and time and how fast it can respond. So this entire workshop is based on the prompt engineering framework. This is a step-by-step framework that we have prepared. We're using internally to create our own courses, and we are also educating all our customers. This is obviously an ebook that you will get as well at the end of the workshop, and it will be accessible also on the website, on the community where you will sign up to submit your work. So here's how this framework looks like. Here there are a few steps, 9 steps in particular. In the first step, we define the expertise and the role of ChatGPT, how we want it to act. We specify the audience for the output that we wanted to create. We define the tasks. We set the learning method. We enhance the context. We provide additional input data. We set or identify the tone and style of voice that we wanted to adopt. And we set the output format and the output indicator, and we validate the prompt. And let's see how these things look in practical terms within some actual prompts that we run through ChatGPT. So here is for the start of the first example of the framework. Our first example is how to define the expertise and the role. So we instruct ChatGPT to act as an expert on software development on the topic of machine learning frameworks and as an expert blog writer. The more specific we are, based on what course we want to create, what is our audience, etc., the best ChatGPT will adopt this role and will generate this kind of content. And as we will see later in the workshop, this can also be used in many creative ways. We can play a contrarian role, or let's say devil's advocate, and ask ChatGPT to really change the outlook of the content. Or we can even repurpose a course that we have already written for adults, repurpose it with a different kind of audience, or coming from a different kind of of teachers. So it's easy once we have some content running to really repurpose it and with a minimal effort with the help of ChatGPT. The next part in this framework is to specify the audience. And again, the more specific we are, the better output we will get. The audience for this blog, so we ask it to write a blog post, is technical professionals who are interested in learning about the latest advancements in machine learning. So you don't have to hesitate to give it more instructions. The more instructions you give it, the better it can adapt to the particular situation that you want to solutions for. Our next prompt is to define our task. So here we ask ChatGPT to provide a comprehensive overview of the most popular machine learning frameworks, including their strengths and weaknesses. We ask it also to include real-life examples and case studies and to illustrate how these frameworks have been successfully used in various industries. As you will see in the book, and also all these slides, of course, will be given to you, you can just take these prompts, change a few variables, and adapt them to your own usage scenario. So we don't want you to reinvent the wheel. This is what the framework is about, so that you can just copy paste these prompts, adapt them to your particular situation, and just send them to ChatGPT in order to get your results. So instead of starting at level 0, let's say, of ChatGPT prompt engineering, you will start at level 3 or 4, because you will already have these prompts ready to be repurposed and reused by you. The next point in the engineering framework is to set the learning method or the instructional design method. For people who might have studied anything around education, teaching, instructional design, this here will be familiar concepts, but every teacher can really benefit from those. These are some very well-known instructional design models. You don't have to use all of them. You can just play around and see get yourself familiarized with a couple of those. And once you understand what they do, and you can just ask ChatGPT to create numerous examples for you. So that's a great way for you to also learn. You can start employing them in your own teaching. So even though you might have amazing instincts and you might be an amazing teacher and you might have done hours upon hours of training, it's always great if you can refer back to some initial principles, some guiding principles or instructional design methodologies to help you have a much better structure around your course. So now you can effectively ask ChatGPT to ask as an instructional design advisor for you. Imagine the time savings, and imagine not having to work with an expert in order to create a course that will use some sound instructional design methodology. You can just enhance, upgrade the instructional design content of your courses just by adding these principles, sprinkling these principles on your prompt engineering, and ChatGPT will do the rest. And we'll show some very concrete examples about how that looks like, especially around learning objectives. In the next phase of the framework, we are enhancing the context. So we are giving more specific examples to ChatGPT so that we can better anchor it in reality and in the vast repository of knowledge that it has. So here we're telling it that ChatGPT may act as an instructor planning to create an online course on time management for business professionals. Very clear and very concise instructions. We ask it to develop a course outline that includes the main topics, 6 learning objectives, and the type of learning activities in the course. Use technical terms and the formal and an informal tone of voice. That's very, very much sufficient for ChatGPT to come back with you with an amazing outline of a course that then you can further keep working and enhancing. And again, we will see how very easily with just a few clicks we'll be able to take advantage of that. Step 6 of the prompt engineering framework, provide additional input data. So given the following feedback on course content and delivery, please provide insights on areas for improvement and recommendations for enhancing student engagement. and paste some student feedback. So here is something that, again, you can use the actual feedback from your students, whether they got lost at some points, they weren't able to follow the course content, they were bored, they weren't particularly engaged, and you can use ChatGPT as your instructional consultant to help you enhance the engagement of that particular course. So it's having an expert next to you to help you at every step of the process, whether it's initially with the design of the course or then with the evaluation and the repurpose. Next step, set the tone and style of voice. When responding, use a mix of the writing styles of Andrei Karpathy, Francois Chollet, Jeremy Howard, and Jan LeCun. So here we're talking about asking ChatGPT to really imitate somebody, because obviously they have ChatGPT has read many of their books and scientific papers, and then you can get some very specific examples that imitate their style. Obviously, you can ask it to imitate your own style if you have if you can provide additional sufficient context based on the things that you have written. Imagine what you can do here, how creative this can be by using, let's say, the tone of voice of noted persons, business people, politicians, whatever it can be. This can make the course very specific and very feel very close, very lively course, and feel so that your students can really get attached and engaged with the content. The next step of the prompt engineering framework is to set the output format. You obviously you can ask for text, but also, as we mentioned, you can ask for very specific structured outputs. So you can ask for a comparison table with the top 5 data analysis tools used in the industry with their respective features and pricing. Format the table using Markdown and add a column for the overall user rating for each tool. So again, something like that would require probably a couple of hours of your work so that you can just do all the research, structure the output and show it. Now with ChatGPT, extremely easy. You can get structured data in the forms of tables, in the forms of comparisons, in the forms of bullets, in the forms of structured and unstructured lists. It's very easy to get all this data organized in many different views and use it within your course. So again, this can be a huge time saver, and you can think outside of traditional text. Also create lots of visual outputs that can help your students, because not everybody can always learn based on text alone. We need alternative forms of representation, and whenever we have structured data, this can work very much in favor of students. And the final step of of the framework is to validate your prompt. So here's an example. Help me create 3 video titles that will engage and draw the attention of young adults, and we specify the audience with a great accuracy. The subject is e-learning and AI, and how and where these two meet. And here, feel free to replace your own subject matter and get answers for what you're interested in. Convince me of the validity of your suggestions. So here we are asking ChatGPT to play devil's advocate and create the arguments that will have to convince us or will have to convince our students. So we're not just getting a first level of output. We can interact with the content, drill down, deep dive into the content and try to understand more. This is something that our students will need, and this is obviously something that we as the course creators will definitely need in order to be convinced and understand what the course output has been, and whether ChatGPT has really a grasp of what it's trying to teach. So at any point when you are not certain about the output, whether you want to drill down, this is not a once-off. You don't just generate an output and use it in your course. You can interact with that. You can inquire, you can challenge, you can push back. ChatGPT will be there to give you back more elaborate answers until you're satisfied and until you're happy with the output and you're willing to, and able to share it with your students. And this is a final example that very clearly shows the difference between a first level, let's say, elemental prompt that we send to Chat GPT, where we ask it to create some slides for product marketing, and we just get 3 bullets. And this is the structure output that we help you to get by having a full prompt that you can really easily repurpose with your own here specific variables, where we set the stage, we ask for a particular tone, we specify what is the audience, and we ask for very specific outputs, and this is the kind of slides that you get. So this is the difference between having, you know, a very random casual chat, and this is the kind of output that you can get with the framework that we show here today. So let's go then with the second part of the workshop. Elisa.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Hello from me as well. Hopefully you're enjoying it so far. I think we can all agree that now it's time to take a look at some results, right? Because yes, it's interesting and all, but let's see how it actually works and how it looks like. So we can go over to the next slide. And now this section is about analyzing the instructional problem. That means that we want to know what the problem is, or what is the need for your intervention over here? What is the expected performance or behavior that it's going to need to change for the learners? What it will achieve after the intervention, and so on. So let's take a look at the hacks. We got hack number 1, where you want to learn about your learners. Now, obviously, we want to know who the end learner is, just so that we can tailor our content to them. So how can we do that? We saw that earlier, where ChatGPT can act as a role. We can impersonate somebody else. So right here, we have a few examples. So for instance, let's read this through. You can act as an instructional designer who creates a course to help. Now, right here, you're going to add your audience, learn about your topic. So we've added this in the form of variables, so you can imagine your own project in it. What are the learning characteristics of this audience as they relate to my topic? So you feed that into ChatGPT, and then it's going to come up with all these characteristics that you're looking for. Now, I don't know if you can read through your screen. I understand that it's quite a lengthy screenshot, but obviously you're going to get the PDF and the slides, and you'll be able to see that on your own. So from here, we need some characteristics of our audience, just so that we get to know them, and then we can tailor and create our content based on that. So this is the first hack. It has another part. Think with the power of personas. So you can even ask ChatGPT to create different personas. And right here, it's done exactly that, and it's created a different persona based on the characteristics. So here's a prompt: create, let's say 4, I think there's 4 here, 4 personas for users who want to start learning for customer success, for instance, if that's your topic. And that's exactly what it's going to do. You got this in the form of a table instead of simple text. Like Panos mentioned earlier, it's not just text. You can get different topics as an output, as an outcome. So this is a table right here, and you get the personas, their backgrounds, and different characteristics for each one. So this was the first hack. Let's head over to the second one, where you can learn more about their training needs. So you can ask ChatGPT about your audience's background, and based off of that, you can see what is it that they need when it comes to their education and their training. So how can we ask about that? What experience do, let's say, we could say either advanced users or, according to your audience, have in relation to your topic? In this case, customer success managers. And just feed that into ChatGPT, and you can get their exact needs. Right here, I see we have 10. It starts with regular customer interactions and so on. So this is their experience, and sorry, not their needs, based off of this. Let me go over to the next part of this hack. Identify your learners' misconceptions for the topic. So if you're working on a topic and there are misconceptions out there, you definitely want to know what these are, just so they can essentially be ahead of the competition and fill in the gaps, right? So you can straight up ask ChatGPT, what are some popular misconceptions about your audience, that your audience has on your topic, and that's going to come up straight up with these results. And of course, then you can take this into consideration and create training and content based off that. Or get things straight, right? Again, this is a misconception, so you may want to set this right if they have the wrong information. Hack number 3, we can learn about the topic. So let's say that you have a rough idea about what you're going to be working towards, but perhaps you're not entirely sure. Maybe you're not an expert in the field. Well, don't worry, because you know what? ChatGPT is. So simply just ask ChatGPT if there are any existing related courses based on your topic, right? So right away, without having for you to spend time to research what's out there, it's going to give you a list and, of course, an idea of what to create even on your topic. So right here, we're asking you to propose a list of online courses designed, again, for your desired audience for the topic. For instance, propose a comprehensive list of online courses designed for customer success managers to collect and utilize customer feedback, each with 3 key points describing their content. And you can see exactly that. So you got a list of courses, and each one of the courses came up with the key points that you asked. The second part of this hack is for you to just straight up ask for the curriculum. So again, if you have a rough idea, but you're not sure what to include into your course, don't worry, just ChatGPT can generate that for you. So right here, we're just asking for the curriculum. So create a curriculum for my course, for the customer success manager course. For this, you can specify the audience and the topic, of course, and that's going to come up with a list of modules, of activities for your course. I think next up we got.
Yeah, I think I will continue, Elisa. Just to mention that with a framework, you already see from the examples here that Elisa showed the impressive output that you get based on that framework. These are probably things that you might have discovered yourself by play around with ChatGPT, but chances are that the framework already gives you a huge head start in using ChatGPT in a creative way to get the output that you want right now. So based on what we will give you, you just copy paste the prompts, replace these variables, and you can get the similar or higher quality output based on about the curriculum that you want to do, or you can just head to the LearnWorlds platform where this is already built in and designed, and you don't even need to write these prompts because these are waiting for you already. You just provide your variables and you can get the output. And in a few minutes, you will also see how this shows within the platform. Now, let's get to the next section about setting the objectives and the goals. This is a very important part of teaching, setting the learning objectives, and not just setting the learning objectives, but also communicating to your students and your trainees, whether they're children in school or whether they're adults completing some kind of professional education. It's very, very important to tell them what should be the expected outcome of any learning scenario, whether it's the 3-hour workshop that we're doing here today or a full school year. Where should I be at the end of that course? What should I be able to do? This is extremely important for essential for having effective learning. This is something that ideally any teaching interaction should start with that part. What I want the final outcome to be. And also, as I mentioned, to communicate that to your students so they understand it and they can articulate themselves. That explains why are they doing what they're doing, why they should be they should keep studying. And also, this can be an amazing basis for designing your entire course, because everything that you do should be attached to one or more of these learning objectives. So any learning unit, any interaction, any assignment, any assessment should be tied to at least one of the objectives. So that's very important, and it's also it's very intuitive. But once you are able to see some of the frameworks that we show here, it's something that I'm sure you will love to include as part of your learning design. And again, that's something that we've built into the LearnWorlds platform. So now any new course can really start with the learning objectives. You can take that as a guiding principle for designing your entire course. So here we just show you some examples of 3 frameworks for creating learning objectives for your course. So hack number 4 is about a regular simplified conditions method. So this is really an amazing keyword. This is really a hack for ChatGPT. Just by mentioning Regulus framework, ChatGPT already sets itself in a teacher mode. It loads up on all the instructional design, thousands of books that it has read, and once you give it the topic and the audience, it can decompose this subject matter and give you the framework here, the teaching the learning objectives for that particular audience. So here it comes back. We are asking ChatGPT to give us some learning objectives because we want to teach customers how to maximize the value of their purchases using advanced features and achieving their desired outcomes. And already the bold part that you see here is the objectives that ChatGPT created for the course. And based on these objectives, we can keep generating our entire content, whether it's videos, ebooks, assignments, or anything else. This can act as the guiding principle for the entire course. So just by invoking this little magic word or phrase, we get an amazing structure for the course, just like having worked with an instructional design expert by our side. This is Bloom's taxonomy. This is probably the most well-known learning objective framework. Bloom effectively organizes our understanding, everything that we learn in 5 different stages that are progressive. The basic line is knowledge, then is comprehension, then is application of knowledge, then it's analysis, and then it's synthesis. Again, in our prompt, we invoke the magic keyword of Bloom's taxonomy, and we ask ChatGPT to create learning objectives for consumer brands, encourage customers to participate in online communities. So because we are teaching a very particular course. And this is precisely what ChatGPT does and breaks down all the learning objectives for this particular course in the 5 Bloom taxonomy levels. And SMART, which is a well-known framework, not just in instructional design, but in all kinds of goal setting and program management. We're talking about SMART is a mnemonic. We just use the initial, which means specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So we ask ChatGPT to create 5 learning objectives using the SMART approach, again, about consumer brands and customers who participate in online communities, and ChatGPT comes back with that. So you don't even need to invoke any deep instructional design keywords. You can go with something much simpler, but still you can get a very much structured output that you can base your entire course on. Now let's go to section 4. Back to you, Elisa.
Yes. All right. So section 4, build your course outline. But how? You can do that by using specific instructional approaches. So you can do that using Merrill's first principle of instruction, Gagnier's 9 events of instruction, Kolb's experiential learning theory, and problem-based learning approaches. Let's see all of them one by one and see how ChatGPT performs with these instructional approaches. So hack number 7, utilizing Merrill's principles. Now, Merrill's principles of instruction are typically activation, demonstration, application, and integration. So if you simply just ask ChatGPT to create a course outline, add your topic using Merrill's principles. Let's say right here we have an example, monetizing via YouTube. So create a course outline for monetizing via YouTube using Merrill's principle of instruction. So hopefully you can see the outcome right here, and indeed it comes back with the modules for the course, and each one of the modules follows the Merrill's principles. You got activation, demonstration, application, and integration as well. If we move over to the next slide, you're going to find Garnier's 9 events of instructions. Now, Garnier suggests 9 events of instruction that may enhance students' learning. Now, that is to gain attention, inform learners of objectives, stimulate recall of prior learning, present stimulus, provide learner guidance, elicit performance, provide feedback, assess performance, enhance retention, and transfer. So a few options over here. We got 9 events. So again, just ask ChatGPT, create the course outline for, again, monetizing YouTube. Let's use the same example, using Garnier's 9 events of instruction. And that does exactly that. You'll see in the outcome, we have the modules for the course, and all of these have the 9 events according to Garnier's instructions.
So this is sorry, Elisa, just to add that this, while we start from, let's say, a theoretical concept of instructional design, ChatGPT really makes it extremely actionable. When we are asking it about a gain attention learning unit, we will get something that can be very provocative, obviously based on the prompt, very specific for our audience. So we start with the framework, but the output is not going to be theoretical at all. It's going to be an amazing example that every teacher would wish they had written. And because you have this structure based on this framework here, the course is very cohesive, and it's something that you can keep working on and keep improving. It already starts at a much better, at a much higher level than anything that you would just start working on your own.
Yes, absolutely. And something that is easy to forget is that keep in mind that this would take a lot of time for you to do it on your own, right? Especially for them to comply with all of these instruction models. All right, so hack 8 right here, we have, hack 9, we have Cobb's experiential learning. So Cobb is a 4-step learning process. Concrete learning, we got reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, and active experiment. So here again, we have the same course, monetizing via YouTube. So create a course outline for monetizing via YouTube and use Cobb's experiential learning theory. So here again, that's exactly that. It gives you the models, and each model has the 4-step of Cobb. The last hack is using the problem-based learning approach. Now, this is a student-centered approach in which typically students learn about the subject, usually in groups, and they solve an open-ended problem. This is how it typically works. So again, you can ask ChatGPT, and let me actually read the prompt for you. I want to teach an online course that helps my audience with my course to monetize through YouTube. Please create a syllabus for this 4-week course using a problem-based approach. So it does exactly that. Right now, of course, if you were to scroll, you'd be able to see week 4 as well. This is just a screenshot. So you see, for each week, here's our syllabus with a problem-based approach this time. And I think that was it for this 4th section.
Mm-hmm. So now let's continue with some prompting hacks about actually creating the content. I think, Elisa, you can also move with that, and later on I will show you within the platform how these particular things can happen without even having to copy paste the entire prompt, just by adding the couple of variables that you need.
Yes, absolutely. Now, we did mention that it's not just text, it's other things as well that it comes up with, but let's face it, it's mostly text, and this is what we need the most time. So how can you create brand new text, something that you have never touched, you have no sample of it, nothing? So we mentioned that a few times. So first off, you can have ChatGPT act as somebody else, act as a role. Then you can specify exactly what you need from it. Is it going to be an ebook? It could be an interview, it could be a Q&A, it could be a testimonial. So whatever you need, you can ask for it. Then you can specify the audience. That will determine how advanced information is going to be or not, right? It's different if you're speaking to a 5-year-old or a high school student, for instance. Then you can decide on the topic, of course, and the goal you're trying to achieve with the outcome. You can limit the text. So if you're creating something, you can say, for instance, I need 1,000 words, I need 20 words. Something that's also fun and it's going to add some character to it is using a specific tone of voice. You can have it be funny, you can have it be formal, informal, humorous, add jokes. Now, it is proven that jokes and more of like funny content keep users more engaged, as it doesn't really feel like learning. It feels more like an engaging experience. So definitely use that. Then you can let ChatGPT know that you definitely want something specific to be used, for instance, content or a specific topic or specific pain points that you want from that. And then you can also specify how you want to structure the text, if you want to have a specific number of headings and so on, and even show resources towards the end. So just a little guide over here when you're creating brand new text. Definitely use this. All of these really, and the more specific you are, typically the closer to what you want the result will be, right? But it's important to know how to write the prompt so that you get the desired outcome. So this is a great guide when it comes to creating brand new text.
Mm-hmm. And also just to remind our audience again that what we're showing here, the different variables, all the words that appear in these prompts, they have been chosen based on actual course content that we observed amongst thousands of courses. So we're talking about random keywords or adjectives, and they have been tested. So these are the type of ebook that you want to create are the things that we actually use and see in the most successive courses that are being hosted within LearnWorlds. All these different formats, whether it's an intro, it's an outro, it's a full chapter, whether you want an interview and Q&A. This is the most effective kind of content that we see, that we observe in the different courses. This is why we have incorporated it within the prompts. And all the different tone of voice, for example, keyword here, specific keywords that you see, is the ones that we tested, and they actually bring results based on that particular ChatGPT version that we see here. So these are keywords that actually work, and they have been combined in a few sentence prompt that can give you an amazing ebook as an output with one go. And then you can keep enhancing, you can keep playing with that and getting more results and elaborating on the content. So let's see the next example.
Yes, so let's take a look at an example on creating a new text. So hack 11, let's see. We're asking ChatGPT to act as a product manager. What we need is a case study for, this is our topic, product managers. Sorry, this is our audience with a medium level of expertise. Again, we're specifying our audience because that is going to determine the depth of the knowledge that they're going to provide. The text concerns SMART goals. So this is our topic, and you have to persuade them about the value. So we essentially need a text for medium level managers that will persuade them about the values of SMART goals. Now, towards the end, we are asking for a friendly tone of voice and include 3 topics for discussion. And finally, add 3 resources to learn more. So you see exactly that. It's going to come up with a case study and all the concerns on SMART goals. Somewhere here, let me see whether I can find it. But if you have the time to read through it, you'll see that the tone of voice is indeed friendly. I don't know if I can find it right now, but anyway, you'll also see towards the end, it includes the 3 topics and everything that you asked, the 3 resources as well.
Yeah, it's the text. I have the advantage of being able to better see the content, but you will have it in the presentation. You see here, hello, fellow product teams, a very friendly tone of voice. Obviously, that's something that you can easily adjust based on your particular audiences. Something that you should always be aware is that when you're asking ChatGPT to include resources, you should always double check them, as well as any factual elements that you add into your content. Make sure that it exists, it's accessible, you have copyright, let's say, or is the proper link to reference to reference these resources. For example, it can be a link to an Amazon book or something else. Make sure it exists, it's valid, and that you have the rights to use it. Don't always rely on how helpful ChatGPT wants to become.
Yes, and somebody mentioned it earlier in the questions, the hallucination term. It does happen sometimes. Not all of the data is absolutely correct. So of course, don't always rely on it. Make sure you do your part and check as well. All right, so let's go over to the next slide. To the hack 12. So what about video creating? Can ChatGPT help you with that? We do know if you're creating videos, I make a few on the daily here, that this is a time, this is a process that takes time, right? So how can ChatGPT help you? Simply, it can do that by actually creating and outlining the video script for you. What does that mean? So again, you can specify the role and let them know what you're creating. What is this video? Is this a trainer video? It could be just a simple screencast, an interview. So pretty much as the text, you need to determine what you're looking for. And again, figure out the audience and add that in as well. Now, of course, you need to add the topic of your video. And again, you can limit the length. Perhaps you want to create a 15-minute video or just a short 3-minute clip. You can add the specific tone of voice as earlier. You can select specifically what to include. Again, same as earlier. Maybe you want step-by-step details on something that you want to show. Maybe you're doing an unboxing video. Maybe you're doing a little interview, whatever your video is. You can choose characters. So if you're having a plot that you want to show, but you don't have to make up the characters from scratch, you can ask ChatGPT to create the characters for your video as well. You can ask it, of course, to structure your script by parts or scenes if you want to. And yeah, you can also have it suggest visuals, like what would you show on the video as well, not only just the script. So let's see how will it do if we take this, put this into action. So hack number 12, create a video script example. So Panos, if you can go over to the next slide. All right, so here's the example. Act as a seasoned product manager management instructor, write a tips and tricks script for entry-level product managers. The video is about product metrics and analytics, and it should be about 5 minutes long. Use a motivational and inclusive tone of voice, so it's a little different than last time here. Include tips for common pain points and identify the most effective KPIs. You can include jokes, always a good idea. Well, depending on the topic, but most times. Structure the script as follows. You can give it precise directions on that. We need introduction, identifying KPIs, pitfalls, how to avoid them, and mastering the art of analytics. Break the script down into scenes, suggest visuals wherever is possible. And all of that give us the output in a table of 2 columns and so on. So all of that you can see on the screenshot as well. So you got the narration, you got the associated visuals wherever you can. The part A is the introduction, like we asked. You got part B, identifying the KPIs, and C, common pitfalls. Now again, videos are definitely time-consuming projects, right? So this will definitely help you just have a more structured thought on what you want to create, on what you want to do scene by scene, and even perhaps it's going to help you create and build up the characters that you're going to use in the actual video based on your project. So that was it regarding the video. Yeah.
Sorry, Lisa, just to add something here. I guess most people in our audience today have published their own videos, recorded their own videos, or tried to. We have done many videos. We know how difficult it can be, especially in the beginning, having to write your own script and edit your own script and shoot your own video. So here we can get a tremendous boost of productivity. We have our own script writer next to us. ChatGPT can not always figure out the exact video length because it depends on words, and also words depend on how fast somebody speaks. But feel free to play around with all these parameters. You can ask it to write shorter sentences. You can ask for more pauses. You can ask for more jokes, whatever. Obviously, you can always edit this content and make it your own, closer to your own tone of voice and to your own style. But it's amazing the boost in productivity that you can get by something as simple as that. And once you start playing around with the prompts, you will see that will be very, very easy for you to just take one particular prompt or one particular script and repurpose it for another audience that is, because you have to create a different version of your course, or you have a different customer, or you want to go to a different country and you want to translate it into a different output. We're talking here about amazing capabilities, having lots and lots of help around you for creating this kind of content.
Right, I'm in here now with hack 13. So this hack is more for any existing content that you want to revisit or utilize. Maybe you've got hordes of information regarding your product that you want to use for course creation. So here you can go back and make the most of it, really. You can go and simplify maybe some of the output that you think might be too complex, or get it rewritten, shorten it down, rephrase it, and basically just enrich the text. So I think this is a good one for going back, revisiting courses that maybe you haven't seen the outcomes that you wanted to. You can go back in here and simplify some of that, rewrite it, see the different possibilities of what you can do with the content that you already have, and make the most of it. And
this is, so to add something here, Lizzie, this is an amazing layer of copywriting and copy editing that we have added throughout the entire LearnWorlds platform. So now we have given these little here commands can really take any paragraph and transform it. So even if somebody is not a native speaker and they would like some help, or even if you just to do some something, a rewriting, a repositioning, a rephrasing, ChatGPT, being an amazing wordsmith, can really help you give a second life to everything that you have written, whether in the content or in the actual pages, in the landing pages, in the design part of your online school. And this is what's amazing. Obviously, you could just take the text, copy paste it to ChatGPT, get the output from there, and put it back on your website. That's something that you can do obviously on your own without having access to that. But we were able to include these here text optimizations horizontally across the entire LearnWorlds platform. So even in a landing page, you can just go take a paragraph that you're not super happy with, a title that you don't feel converts very well, or a call to action, and you can keep playing with that until you're very satisfied. It's very easy, and it's also very satisfying to see how your text gets transformed, and how you're not getting writer's block. That's not a choice anymore. That's not an excuse, because you can have your sidekick come in and really lighten up all your text.
I think this next slide actually talks about that and touches on some of what Elisa was saying about tone of voice earlier as well. So using existing text, you can go in, summarize it, take away the key points from longer content, or the text more funny or formal or informal. Like Elisa was saying, sometimes the funnier it is, the more people engage. So that's just expanding on what we've said before. So
and we'll show some specific examples within the paragraph. So here is one that we can explain through the screenshot.
Yeah, so simplifying complex concepts. This one is a nice way just to make something really digestible. So in here we've said, explain it like we're 5 years old. And you can see in the feedback that we've got from ChatGPT, we've got a nice sort of story format where it just makes the explanation of what we've inputted really, really nice and clear and concise, and gives it a nice story to sort of read along with and to take away from.
I think I can admit that I've used this for me actually several times. I identify as a 5-year-old sometimes. It definitely helps.
We all should. I think it's very constructive to identify as 5 years old or anything else. And the great thing with ChatGPT is that it can be an amazing teacher to all of us. Although if you want to teach something, you should have a sufficient level of understanding. And every question you have, obviously, there's always the option of going to Google, start searching, get a book or whatever. But you can ask ChatGPT to really adapt the kind of knowledge that you're searching for to your own setting, and really come back with the examples that you need, the explanations what you need, and you can keep asking until you learn. So it's your own personal instructional instructor next to you that can help you decipher any subject that you're interested in.
And hack 16 is comparing concepts. So this is one I like. So when you are looking at different methodologies to tackle a project, what's the best way to go forward? Here we've used the example of project management methodologies, but we've asked it to put it in a table format. So I think this is a really nice, clear and concise way to compare two different ways of working. I think you could use this for a couple of different things depending on the input. You could use it for procurement when you're looking at two different solutions. Maybe you could ask it to do a comparison table of that. It just gives you a really nice, clear understanding of the 2 points, and then you can make a decision off the back of that. You could do it with theories as well. So we've also got pros and cons of two different theories there that you could use also.
And this is something that we need to keep reminding ourselves, that it's not just about text. These tables would require immense amount of work to create. So now you have something that is very visual. It's easy to put into a website or to put into an ebook of yours. You can highlight text. It's much more structured. So it's also much easier for students to comprehend, to study, to follow. It's easy for you to create assessments based on that comparison or on that structure. So the more structured your content, starting from your table of contents to your learning objectives to your actual content, the better looking the course will be. The more engagement we will have for your students, and the more effective will be the course overall.
And then back to storytelling. So this is, rather than asking it to describe to you as a 5-year-old, this is actually asking for a story. So here we've asked to create a story that illustrates the importance of teamwork and project management, and then sort of setting some context. So the story should be set for in a professional context and should feature a diverse team of individuals. You can then set the tone as well and set the length, so that continues in that prompt. And as you can see, we've actually cut it short there slightly, but we get quite an extensive answer back with a really nice story. You could use this for maybe setting a scene before you ask questions and assessments, telling a story and then asking some questions off the back of it, or just putting some information about your product or your company into a bit more of a detailed story for people to understand.
Well, I know many teachers in many different settings who are terrorized, by the need to find always more examples. Like, students need examples, always having to generate something that is unique, that is creative, that is that stands out, that is memorable. Here, you can get this kind of help. You can set your agents, like who is involved in this story, and you can really go crazy with your prompts in a creative direction and in a nice way, asking ChatGPT to come back with really this storytelling. And we know that effective teaching comes through storytelling. Everything is a story, is a narrative. So here you can really form an entire course as a long story where your actors really go through the different stages and complete their story. So it's extremely satisfying to see this kind of output.
And that's it. And we've continued to sort of go further into that Hack 17 as well, with presenting the content with the form of a story. So setting the scene, casting characters, create a conflict about Z, set the narrative climax, decide on the resolution, and provide a learning conclusion. So this is just a really detailed structure of what you can actually produce through a story. So like Panos was saying, it's a great way to teach people, and this is a way to make sure that it doesn't veer off course and you're getting the output that you want.
And if I may, it's also proven that learners actually prefer information via a story. It's way more digestible for them, way easier for them to retain the information if it's provided via a story rather than any other kind of form.
Great. And again, here are some other techniques, some hacks that can really enhance your content, and you can get some more examples that are very, very effective with your students. One example here is to ask for contract content, like, act as a devil's advocate. We also mentioned that in the beginning. You can ask ChatGPT to act as a critic for one particular claim in your course. In this case, for the claim that the human element cannot be replaced when prioritizing in product management. So you can really create these provocative learning opportunities for your students. You can ask ChatGPT for counter arguments, and then you can go in with your own pro arguments, or you can have Ask GPT really argument both ways, and then students can be exposed to all these different cases. And these are things that instinctively we know can be very effective when teaching, but we also understand, and everybody who has tried doing that understands that it's very tedious. It requires lots and lots of work and attention to create something like that. Here, ChatGPT can really do the heavy lifting and get you 80–90% there, and then you can just continue and refine all these different critiques. And that's another example, very much loved one, comes straight from Greek philosophy, where we asked ChatGPT to play Socrates, again, a devil's advocate, a gadfly that goes in and disturbs the status quo. So we asked Socrates to present the value of soft skill development, and Socrates to dispute about its value. So here it's the Socratic method of teaching, one of probably the first recorded teaching method in history, where through asking repeated provocative questions, we lead students to discover knowledge themselves, to discover the truth by really being provocative. It's an amazing way of teaching. It can be very engaging. Here, it's in the form of a dialogue, and obviously you can play with the prompt and use any kind of actor to do that kind of dialogue. And it's really a very engaging content that keeps students there. That's something that you can really see in your analytics, people engaging with this thought-provocative content and then reaching the conclusions that you want at the end. This can be a great support for you, and you can create some really unique style courses based on that hack. And here's another case where we are asking ChatGPT to create a Q&A. We know, students love Q&A, consumers love Q&As. It's the easiest way to present in a structured form. The FAQs, the most important stuff that people should remember about a particular topic. Here, a very nice prompt that you can put to ChatGPT and get back a structured Q&A that you can put in as part of your course. Here we're asking ChatGPT about the benefits of a remote workforce training. So great way to start, let's say, a course with something like that, or to use it as an outro for people to revisit something that they have just learned. And hack 20, creating flashcards. Flashcards, amazing for when you're preparing for exams. If you want to really cram huge amounts of knowledge in your mind in order to go for a certification or go for a very important exam, here you can ask ChatGPT to prepare flashcards based on your contents, and that's something that you can share. Your students can get, they can print it in actual cards and use it to prepare for their exams. Here we're acting, this is for a business setting again. This is something that we are trying to use internally also in LearnWorlds, to ask ChatGPT to write flashcards about the product features of LearnWorlds, the most important parts and the main benefits of the product features. Get that in the form of flashcards and share it with our own employees internally, our salespeople, so that they can easily, during their onboarding, they can really revise this kind of knowledge and remember it very, very easily. So a great way to create a tangible output, very practical and useful output for your students. And here's a simple example about flashcards for some guerrilla marketing strategies and that you are teaching about. Hack 21, creating slides. That, except from the actual text, this can be the presentation for our content. We are asking ChatGPT to create X amounts of slides with a specific number of bullet points, and also to propose visuals that we should add on each slide. Create detailed speaker notes that will have me sounding like a seasoned pro. So here's a very specific prompt. Act as an HR manager and create 15 slides for your upcoming webinar on employee onboarding best practices. For each slide, we want 3 key takeaways in bullet points, detailed speaker notes for me to know what to say during the presentation, propose related visuals, generate quotes from experts in the field, highlight compelling statistics, include engaging anecdotes, and propose creative courses. This can give you a full hour presentation that you can go on and produce, recording a video or anything else. You can see that the output already is impressive. With just copy paste, you get it within a PowerPoint and you're ready to go. Hack 22, some fun and creative approaches. Here, we can explain a concept in the style of a particular character, and we can make it super funny. We can emulate the tone and the tone of voice of a particular actor. It can be a cowboy from an old westerns. I have seen recently examples of university lectures being written in rap, or being written in a form of a 15th century sonnet or anything else, a haiku poem, anything that can make your courses much more lively, obviously something that is fitting with your particular audience. This can really be a nice way to touch up your courses and generate more engagement. Here's a little haiku, just a short Japanese poem with a few sentences. And also another way of using lateral thinking to talk about customer engaging. So here you're asking ChatGPT to think out of the box, to come back with thought-provoking ideas and examples to help you generate something that is very engaging as an output.
And staying in the theme of fun, Hack 23 is about emojis. Now, I'm sure you're all using them. I use them a lot every day. So why not use them in your content as well? So use emojis with ChatGPT and actually ask ChatGPT to use emojis. So right here, you're assuming that you're a professional coach, write learning objectives about a course on time management for inexperienced managers and use emojis. Now, emojis and really any image is very powerful because it tells a story without needing any words. It serves as a symbol, right? So straight away, the user is going to understand the topic of what you want to say with the use of emojis. Now, not only we can use them, but in the next slide, you'll see that you can even use only emojis as a translator. So you can tell a small little story if you add emojis in a row. So right here, we're asking ChatGPT, tell me how an instructional designer feels in his daily routine with emojis. So we see that it starts off early in the computer, and then they are doing some research. They're getting creative, and you can see that there is a respective emoji that suits whatever activity they're doing right next to that. And you can see that the far top as well. So at the far top, you got the little story with the emojis, and then it kind of like describes what each one of these are. So very, very fun. Definitely use these. Obviously, we don't want to abuse it, but definitely use it. I think that's going to resonate well with your learners. Hack 25, create a crossword puzzle. So these are very entertaining to do. I love crossword puzzles myself, but obviously it takes a ton of time for you to not only think the actual information that you want to add, but also like how would you add them in there so that they can find the words and where each letter is, right? It's kind of tricky. I don't know how they do it in the magazines and wherever I would do that. So obviously ChatGPT can do that for you. Just ask it to create a crossword puzzle. Add your topic for assessing new employee products of LearnWorlds, and there you go. It's going to add the puzzle, and then you're going to find the words. So very easy, and of course fun too. So definitely use these as well. Hack 26, create a role-playing scenario. Now this taps a little bit onto the storytelling subject that we mentioned earlier. So every type of information, if you give this to the users in the form of a story, in the form of characters, it is way easier for them to resonate and consume it. So same goes here. You can create a role-playing scenario where your learner is going to assume a little role, and they're going to have to act on it on whatever subject you have. And that way, not only will they interact with each other, and it's going to be more of an engaging and fun experience, but the learning process also happens a lot faster. So you can ask ChatGPT to generate role-playing scenarios on whatever topic you have, and it's going to do exactly that. Next up, we have Hack 25, create a timeline. So just simply ask it, create a timeline of how educational technology evolved. So you'll see that it starts from the 20s all the way over here to the 2014. And why use this? So it's a lot easier for you to see and to monitor how something evolved in the axis of time. And it's a lot easier for you to understand what happened and what sequence, right? So right here, for instance, we had the radio, we had the television, or just what preceded what. It's a lot easier to see it if you have it in a timely order like so. And the next task over here is journal prompts. So what is this? Journal prompts are thought-provoking questions or statements that serve as writing prompts to inspire reflection. So self-expression and personal growth. So it's just like a journal. You can write it and you can go back and reflect on it. So create 20 journal prompts right here for learners in marketing to reflect. So for instance, the number one is describe a marketing campaign that you admire. So something to reflect on about. And next up.
Sorry, Elisa, just to add something, that these kind of prompts for journal prompts, you can use them everywhere within your course. There are specific learning units, like for a journal, where you can ask students to respond to those, and then you can start a discussion, or even you can use those to foster discussions within the community of your online school. So here you can get some great prompts. It's just like having a community manager with some thought-provoking ideas that you can share with your students. Not all of them, at one go, but you can just sprinkle them throughout their course so that you keep engagement at a high level with some very meaningful discussions. And obviously, a human touch there will be highly appreciated. But if you don't have all the time, to think deeply about all these questions, you can always get some help on the side.
Absolutely. I think Liz is on to the next hack.
Indeed. Right, we're coming to the end of the content creation hacks. I'll go through the last 5. This one here is create an annotated bibliography. So this one could come in handy for maybe you want to research some additional information on a specific topic. You could create the bibliography and then go into detail of each of the resources it's given you, or you could create reading lists for your students. So you could have this as a reading list along with an assignment potentially that could be based on the list of resources given. There's a whole host of ways that you could utilize these, but as you can see, it gives you a good amount of different resources, reports, books, all sorts of different things, publications that you can go through and make the most out of. And then we'll go.
And this is something where you definitely need to check this bibliography and all these resources. This is where hallucination can creep in. So don't take its word for it. Go in and check everyone. Same goes for the timelines that Elisa mentioned before. Whenever we're going into the factual territory, you want to be absolutely certain that what you're sharing is valid. So double check everything.
And then we'll go on to concept maps. So here we've used a learning and development as an example. So it then structures the concept map for you. So you can see it has the main branch, and then underneath are the 3 subtopics, and then it continues out from there. It then advises you at the end that you could use a mind mapping tool or drawing software to actually create this, or you could just use the information yourself to go and create something and then extrapolate from this, make it a little bit bigger, make it a little bit more personalized, or take this information and sort of dig deeper with some of the other hacks that we've shown you as well. Then creating infographics. So this is one I have used before as a marketeer. It's always a good one. So here, for me, I think this is really invaluable. It can just give you a guide of some things that you could include in an infographic. You can take it as you will, take some of the content from it, or just go for it. Go for it as is. Like I said, go and create something really visually appealing, work with your creative teams, and use the information that it's provided. So here we've just asked for a 3-layer infographic on reseller marketing and budget allocation. And we've asked it to suggest visuals. So you don't even have to come up with the creative elements of this. It will give you some suggestions. Obviously up to you whether you use them or not. But in my experience, it's good to maybe try a couple of different versions of this. So input it, see what else it spits out other than just the first go. And then I like to sort of mix and match and take some ideas away. I think this is a good one to use sort of as a guide. Maybe don't take everything from it, but go away and let the creative juices start flowing. But it definitely gives you a reference point, somewhere to start, because sometimes that can be the trickiest bit. Right, and then glossaries. So this could be great for maybe new employee onboarding, people that haven't been in the industry long. You can give them a glossary of terms to go away, familiarize themselves with. There's nothing worse than starting a new company and everyone's using acronyms that you don't understand. So maybe that's something you could do with it. Maybe you just have it on your website if you have quite a complex product, or you work for an industry that can be a little tricky to understand. This is something that you could use, glossary of terms or glossary of your feature set, something like that, just to direct people and make things a lot easier to sort of work their way through.
This can easily be combined with FAQs. It's very good at providing good definitions, so that can be part of any course. It's a very valuable resource to add into any course.
And then storyboards. So this one is pretty complementary, I'd say, to the video scripts that we discussed earlier. So when creating videos, you can use storyboarding to just go through what each scene would be, whether that's sort of live animation or something that you want to have a team put together, whatever it might be. This is a nice way of doing it. Here we've used an example of business ethics and compliance. which is a super fun topic. So I think this just, as you can see, it goes scene by scene, frame by frame. It covers the narration, but like I say, you could then add in a script to this as well, just to sort of expand it out. And again, like I said before, it's a nice jumping off point. It's a nice place to start, and then you can go in and sort of adapt it as and how you feel too.
Business ethics and compliance, definitely super fun. You need all the help you can get there. So this is where you can go through, especially when we're talking in a professional setting, professional training. There are some very tedious subject matter that you have to go through for compliance reasons. This is where ChatGPT can come in and enhance the entire work. So now let's go to the next session about assessment. And since I think everybody is super keen also to see how these things actually are used within the LearnWorlds platform, let's try, Elisa, to go quite quickly through these three different assessment formats.
Yes, so creative assessment and more specifically self-assessment. And what is that? So a self-assessment is essentially a process where the user evaluates their own quality, their own work in a specific matter, right? They reflect on how they did, on their skills, on their learning, and identify if they have any strengths or any areas that there's more room for improvement. So let's take a look. Hack 34, we got scenarios. So you can have ChatGPT actually create scenarios. So let's take a look. I am teaching, you add your topic, let's say creating the perfect pitch. My audience is anyone, so right here it's a little broad, anyone who is interested in this area, please produce 2 different kinds of scenarios I can use in my assessment of my student skills. Use creative and engaging scenarios. So that's exactly what it does. We fitting this through ChatGPT, and there you go. Right away, it comes up with a scenario 1 and scenario 2 for what we asked. More on the scenarios, let's take a look at another example where you can make your multiple choice assessment more interesting. So how can you do that? So I want to assess whether my students learned my topic. So for instance, how to appear more professional in a video conference, for instance. So you can ask for it to write a fun scenario and create 3 multiple choice questions for these scenarios that assess my students. So you have exactly that, you have the scenarios, and for each scenario you get 3 Q&As so that they can assess. So very easily they can see how well they did and just self-assess this. In the next hack, we have fill in the blanks. And if I'm not mistaken, somebody asked in the Q&A section if there is multiple choice. This is kind of a multiple choice, as you can see. It is a fill in the blanks, but you'll see that it even offers the word option, and you have to choose from one of these. So let's take a closer look. And let's say that I want you to act as a fill in the blank worksheet generator for business development executives. Your task is to create a worksheet with a list of sentences. I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but you get the idea. So you can give it the plot, and then you can specify how many of these, how many sentences you want to, and it's going to give you possible answers. And of course, your user can decide. You can also make this without the possible answers over here. Just have your learners think a bit more and come up with the actual result. The second part of this is to create a unique story. So this is what I was talking about earlier, where you don't actually have different independent sentences, but this is rather a story, and you do not have proposed words. You have to come up with the words as you read the story. So extremely helpful, and very used a lot when it comes to grammar, if I remember well. A lot of my grammar courses have these type of assessments. In the next hack, we have self-assessment. We mentioned that earlier. So you can quickly generate self-assessment checks over here. So create a self-assessment checklist. The checklist should consist of 7 questions, and it should enable people to evaluate whatever your topic is. Right here we have whether they appear professional on a video conference, the same as we saw earlier. Format the checklist as a table. So we have this, and you got your checklist. Let's say number 1 is camera positioning. I don't know if I'm passing the test, guys. So is my camera steady and positioned at any level? Actually, I didn't pass because it died just a few minutes ago. I don't know if you noticed, but I changed my battery. But you get the point. So you get the checklist over here, and they can go through this list and essentially assess themselves on these. The second part of this is to quickly create multiple starting points. So I am a teacher. I'm teaching in a course that is divided into 3 units, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Please create a self-assessment checklist that allows learners to check their prior knowledge and place themselves in the appropriate unit in the course. So they essentially assess their skills over here, right? So can I create, what does it say? Save and open Excel worksheet. So you get to assess yourself whether you're a beginner in this skill, intermediate, advanced, and so on. So very, very helpful, just different ways for them to assess their knowledge on these. So that was it with the assessments. On to the next section.
And different ways to repurpose your content, because you can have all these different sections applied to different audiences. So now I think we're ready to go into the actual practical stuff and show how AI has been implemented within LearnWorlds. You can start playing with that. As we mentioned in the beginning, using LearnWorlds for the workshop or the certification, it's absolutely not mandatory. You can perfectly well teach even in the physical world, not even create online course by using all the prompt engineering framework we showed. All these is super applicable. You can just start your own Chat GPT account, copy paste from the ebook the prompts, get your answers, and create your course for any kind of setting or for any kind of platform for that matter. But we have gone the extra step, actually not 1 step, probably 10 steps, and included all the framework, all the engineering framework that we mentioned within the LearnWorlds platform. So you don't even have to copy paste. Everything is created, and you're not just saving immense amount of time from having all the super engineered prompts ready to be just enhanced with your own keywords and start generating output. But we have also made the integration of the prompts within a platform. So just by clicking a few buttons, you can get the actual content created, ready to be published within your online school. So allow me to share just a free trial that I created a little earlier that shows, here it is. This is just a little LearnWorlds trial that has the Chat GPT integration enabled. This is there out of the box. You can just head over to the LearnWorlds site right now without any credit cards, without any strings attached. You can just create a trial if you don't have one already, if you don't have a functional school, generate a trial, and you can just implement all the activities that we will show here today. So all the workshop scenarios that we're going to present can be easily implemented within LearnWorlds. If you are already a LearnWorlds user, this functionality has started to be released yesterday, so you should have access to that already within your school. So here, what we're are going to do is create our very first course within the within a LearnWorlds platform. Let me check a bit my camera because I think something
You're a little blurry, but we can hear you.
Yes, I think Chat GPT is getting very threatened, and
maybe a camera conspiracy.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. So let's see. This is the here. This is just a simple trial I created today. It's empty, no users, nothing else, no courses yet. And let's see how quickly, with some smart Chat GPT prompt engineering, we are going to fill that with courses and with actual content. I'm going here to create a nice little professional training course about customer Success 101. This is the title for my course. I start with a decent title. This is the subject matter that I want to start today. So it's nice to have this title from here because you will see it in many places as you play around with Chat GPT. Here it shows me where this course will eventually be published. I want this to be a free course. We want this to be visible and shared. No need to worry now about the appearance. We don't want this to be a drip-fed course. We just create this course. And right away, I'm facing an empty slate. This is where normally, as a creator, as a course creator, I would have to go into the contents. This is the landing page. I chose earlier a professional, let's say, a template for the website. And here, in a previous life, I would have to have my notes by my side. I would go in and create one section after the other, and then I would have, my writer's blog, and I would have to think hard about how to start, what to do as an intro, how to keep my audience engaged, how these people are not going to be fed up and really abandon the course. Or now I can start playing around with AI. So what we're bringing here is a tool that helps you create the outline of your course. And it doesn't just create the course because you first want to explore what is possible. You first want to play around, you want to improve your prompt, you want to have a few goals and create a structure that you will be satisfied with, and then just click a button and insert all this within your platform. So this is a very particular reason. This is why we don't outright create the course, because we want you to explore all the options. We want you to really engage with ChatGPT and teach it more about what you want to create before you create your course. So everything you've seen in the framework before, or the text, all the variables that we had, can be easily found here. And just to make sure that you understand that everything here is optional. I could just easily generate here and get a very decent course outline to begin with. So it's not mandatory to provide all these variables, but the more context I add, if I just add a few more things, you will see that the output becomes much more relevant and much more applicable to what we do. So let's say that in my business, I want to create an introductory customer success course to train the new employees that we hire. What kind of learning activities do we want in this course? We want some videos and we want some ebooks. This would be enough for now. And we also want some exams, because we want to make sure that these people are going to learn what we taught them. Any kind of learning unit can be also added. You can enable webinars if you like, and ChatGPT will take this into consideration. What I would like to show, to give to these people, is also a certificate of completion at the end. Number of sections. Let's start with 5 sections. We want this to be, a really strong course to give them all the foundation that they need. How many activities per course? Let's say I want 4 activities per section. Sorry. Include any specific key topics. Is there something particular that we would like them to teach them about? Nah, let's leave it open for now. Here, I can refer to specific content that I would like to enhance this course with. I can base it on an existing learning unit if I had one. I can give it a web article. Let's say I found an amazing article online, a Wikipedia article, or some other thing that really talks deeply about the subject and I like it. Then I could feed ChatGPT with that particular URL. Or I can give a paragraph of text. This is also optional, so I just leave it as it is. Set the instructional approach. Here is where all the instructional design methodologies that we mentioned before really come into play. So you don't even need to remember these magic keywords that we mentioned before. You can just go here right away with Merrill's first principle of instruction. Very easy. You just click it here, and let's see what output are we going to get out of that. Course level, introductory, foundational, intermediate, and advanced. Let's say that we want this to be a foundational course. The course audience, let's say these are a newbie customer success agents. And tone of voice, we don't want to scare away these people. Again, all the keywords that we showed before, you can find them here ready. Let's say that I want to have a really motivational tone of voice for my course. These are new people. I don't want them to be scared. I want them to feel good about what they're learning here today. So just a few choices. The rest are optional. I click generate. I let Chat GPT use my prompt and give me back the outline for my course. Depending on the API of the status of the API of Chat GPT, that might take from 10 to 40 seconds, sometimes 1 minute. Let's see what we will get here. Oh, that was very fast. So here it is. Chat GPT came back with the 5 sections that I asked and an extra one for the certificate of completion. 4 units each. There are 2 videos and 2 ebooks in each one of the learning units. And if I start exploring the titles, they seem to be pretty on the spot. We're starting with the importance of customer success. The first chapter is about understanding customer success. Then it's building relationship with customers, and so on and so forth. So this is already much better than I could have done if I spent half a day on it. But we can still keep working before actually creating the course. So for any kind of activity, I can go in and change the kind of activity. Let's say I'm thinking that, okay, perhaps here, since it's their first day, a live session might be in order. So it's very easy to just change the type of activity. It would be very cumbersome to do so after I create the course, much easier to do it here while I'm playing around with the course content. And let's say here, because this is the first section, I would like to suggest a new activity. And here it is. ChatGPT came back with another nice title, a nice idea, the role of customer success in business growth. But this seems kind of like very formal type of knowledge. So let's rephrase this activity. And here is where, if your creativity is not at its peak always, here is where ChatGPT can come back with some great titles and some rephrasing. And let's say that the importance of customer success, yeah, that also doesn't look not very friendly. So let's start with an alternate activity. The value of customer success looks much more straightforward. So as you can see, I can really play around. I can move my sections up and down. I even have an undo and redo. So don't worry about ruining things. You can always go back to the previous state of things or redo. Here it is. I can play around, and I can even ask ChatGPT either to regenerate the entire thing. And here, just to be clear, if I give the exact same prompt at 2 different times, I will get different results, because there's a certain amount of randomness by design within how ChatGPT and large language models operate. So it will come back with slight variations on the content and the different things that it proposes. And I can always go back to improve the prompt. Let's say so it's a constant process of creation, of back and forth, until you fine tune how the prompt looks like and what is being sent over to Chat GPT. If you wanted to do that with a Chat GPT simple account, it would take some rewriting and copy and pasting and having a thread open and keep asking. Here, everything is structured. You are having all the right keywords and the instructional frameworks ready to be used. So I think I'm quite happy with what I created. Let's insert the content into my actual course page. Back to just 1 second. So here, my actual course contents have been created, empty learning units that I have to fill in, but all the right titles and everything that I asked for is here. And still, my work is not done. I can continue adding manual activities, things that I know I want to add into the course. I can import activities from other courses, or I can keep generating activities, effectively refining my prompt with the use of ChatGPT. So this course can be in a constant work in progress, and obviously I can clone it, I can repurpose it for another audience, for another customer, for another language, for another batch of students or trainees. Imagine the productivity gains that you would gain, the productivity gains within your business if you just, even based on the course content that you already have, and you ask ChatGPT to repurpose, and even more when you start from scratch and you create new kinds of content. And we showed before, Elisa talked about creating the actual script. So here, you know what is your audience, you know what is your context, that you are in the first section of an introductory course about customer success. So you can ask for a 2-minute script or a 500 word script about the value. And based on that, you can go in and you can go later and shoot that video. You can even ask it to create a presentation for you. So it's we started with the content, but now we can start diving into the actual. We started with the outline, but we can dive into the actual content that will be generated by Chat GPT. And one of the most powerful, let's save this learning unit so that we have it ready. These sections are still in draft mode, so I will have to do some slight editing here and say that, okay, let's publish this. I'm very, very happy with the content structure that I have. So just a few clicks to publish the content that ChatGPT so helpfully created for me here. And I can go in and preview how this looks like. Still empty, but what an amazing outline. Here, this is how my course looks like. I don't have this particular template. Okay, here it is. It took a few seconds. This is the actual table of contents for the course that I have generated in a couple of minutes. So now I can go in to the actual, one of the most powerful learning units within LearnWorlds, if not the most powerful, which is the ebook. And here, this is in my introductory course, my first ebook. And here is where ChatGPT really shines with how it combines with the authoring power and flexibility of LearnWorlds. This is our new ebook builder that has the same kind of flexibility as our website builder. So it's dozens of new templates and widgets that you can combine with titles, with images, with different kinds of layouts. If I have my text ready made in a Word file, or if I have created externally, even in ChatGPT, I can just import it here. I can add new sections manually, or again, from scratch, I can start with ChatGPT and write text now, get text for this particular unit. So what we are talking about here is an introduction to customer success. Again, refining my prompt. Let's say I want this to be a nice little chapter. This is an intro. I don't have any particular articles to feed the prompt with, but I can start with that. I want this to propose some related resources for further reading for me. The text audience, as we mentioned, they are newbies, new customer success employees. And the tone of voice, I want this to be friendly. This is or let's say, let's stay with the motivational that we mentioned before, so that the text is cohesive. Clicking generate, and I will get a nice chapter from ChatGPT about customer success. So out of the blue, ChatGPT is coming back with a full course for me, step by step, learning unit by learning unit. Let's give it the 30 seconds that it needs. Nice, here it is. And again, I haven't added it within the ebook, so I can still play around. I can refine my prompt. I can ask it to expand certain sections or to shorten certain sections. I can ask AI, the ChatGPT, to improve the results. This is a full chat here, so I can keep talking to that. But instead of doing that externally within ChatGPT, I have it ready-made here within LearnWorlds. So a nice little chapter with introduction to customer success. What is customer success? Developing the mindset, resources to help you succeed. Let's say add some info about a career, successful career as a customer success representative. ChatGPT will do its magic. It's real time, so we have to wait. But still, much better than doing all this ourselves. So here it came with some nice extra content that could be very useful to a new recruit about building a successful career in customer success, what you would need eventually to succeed in this space. You need to be data-driven, collaborative, continuously learning and adapting. A nice quote here from Albert Schweitzer. That looks very, very decent as a first try. I don't even have to regenerate it or refine the prompt, which I always can. I asked for inserting the content, and here I am. I already have an ebook that I can preview. Save it first.
Panos, several people asking about a little break. Do we know almost how long?
Yes, well, I think we need just a few more minutes to show you how it works, and then we'll set you off. We'll let you actually use it, go back at your own time, so you will have full time for a coffee break, get a breather, and then start working with that. So I will be very, very brief. Just a couple of hacks here. As we mentioned before, we showed all the nice ways where we can rewrite, rephrase, repurpose a piece of text. So here I can always click the / character, and here I have all the ChatGPT options to edit the text, polish, rewrite, make it catchy, make it surprising, make it serious. Let's say I want to expand. So this is ChatGPT contextualized within every paragraph for you to play around. So that's a let's say make it even longer. So this is an even longer paragraph about this particular topic. So very much contextualized help from ChatGPT, and many. Sorry, I want to insert that. I want to save, and many options here as you will start identifying this icon of ChatGPT, where I can keep getting text, stories, Q&As, timelines, glossaries, journal prompts, everything that we mentioned before. So that's why we're showing it, because the entire framework that we've shown has been incorporated within LearnWorlds. So everywhere you are, just look for this friendly icon, and you can keep generating this kind of content. You can get the instructional content, all the examples that we mentioned, the Socratic dialogue, the application of a specific instructional approach, explain a character, simplify a concept, compare pros and cons, dilemmas. All these are expert prompts that are ready to be fed with just your variables about your own language and tone and everything else. And here it is. And even if you want to go international, let's say, and get this entire paragraph translated, just clicking the forward slash, and I can go in full Dutch on this. And this is a great translation. So imagine that everything you do, not very relevant for today's workshop, but obviously something that can be very, very practical. You can go in and translate everything, rewrite it, repurpose it, or anything else that you need. So for me, just one extra. Okay, here we are. Obviously, always check it with somebody who actually speaks the language. Some copywriting, it'll always need it. It's the output that we've seen in most languages that have big volume of text are much better than Google Translate, but some human intervention is needed. I don't want to save this part here. So this is how I can generate an ebook. This is something that you will use in today's webinar. So you either do it externally within Chat GPT, or you just use here our ebook editor, go in and start generating using all the, you can play around with the entire menu here. This is all the Chat GPT prompts that we talked about. You can create all those different types of content with all those different styles, and then you can keep adding, you know, the extra spicy elements that we need, whether it's jokes, poems, or rewrite entire passages of text. And the final thing that I wanted to show, because again, will be part of today's requirements, is some assessment using our assessment builder. I think we had asked for some assessments, but I don't see them here. So let's add an activity here. Let's say that we want an exam and we want to do a blank exam with a test on customer success. Saving it. And here I can go again with the help of ChatGPT and create an entire assessment based on my context and what I want to give it, whether it's multiple choice questions, true, false, all the different forms can be created here with a prompt. So let's say a little test on customer success. I want 5 multiple choice questions with 4 answers each. Let's create also another 3 true false questions and also 1 open-ended question at the end. I can make it an easy test because we're talking about beginners. No need to add more to refine the prompt here. I click generate. Just a few seconds, and I get an entire assessment on my topic. Again, I can continue playing before importing to the platform. These are the questions that I asked. It even shows me the correct answers, and it gives me the feedback for a correct and an erroneous answer. So we're talking about, we're getting the entire assessment here in just a few seconds. I spare you some time. I just click the insert content, and the entire assessment has been created. I can navigate. I can see the questions that have been added. I can see what is the correct answer from the 4 different choices, and I have a full-blown assessment about customer success that has been created within my course. So imagine what you can do about the subject that you want to teach, that you know something about, you have a starting point, and you can get the framework, the structure, the instructional support, but also the actual learning content created for every one of your learning units, even your scripts. So probably within a day, you can create an amazing full-blown course for any topic that you are familiar with. That's it about the platform. So I think now we can progress quickly to let people go actually and implement and have their break, their well-deserved break. Let's see what is the next step. Let's go back to the presentation.
It's essentially the tasks.
Okay, so this is the section where you guys can get stuck into everything that we've just gone through, all of the hacks, the framework, all of that good stuff. So what we like you to do is, whether you want to use our platform and start a free trial or use Chat GPT, we're going to give you a couple of scenarios for you to go away and start creating a course. We're obviously running a little short on time, so what we'd like to do is you guys can get started, ask any questions, and then we've actually got a community, the course where you will have access to all of the assets and the assessment and become certified, also has a community feature. So that's the name of the community there, AI and Chat GPT for professional trainers, or you can scan that QR code and you're able to share anything that you produce past this workshop at a later date on there, and you can get some peer feedback, or we'll be on the chat as well to give answer some questions and give some feedback of anything that you've created. But now we want to give you a break and also give you the scenarios to run through. We'll send in the chat all of the information to set up a trial if you want to do it that way, or of course you can just use your Chat GPT, and we'll send a list of the different scenarios. So I want you guys to all have a nice cup of coffee if you need it, and we'll get all that sent through on the chat now.
We'll remain here to answer questions as you go along, so we'll close our cameras, but everybody will be here on the chat. So if you need access to some resources, if you need help starting a trial, if you want to ask anything about particular uses or usage or prompts, we'll be here. Now this is your time. So we will be here for the next hour, including the break. Grab a cup of coffee, some water, some tea, whatever you need. Play around. The scenarios are going to be, what we're asking you to create is going to be shown right away. I think it's the next slide on the scenarios that you can create. ChatGPT or the trial, go out, create it, and there in the link you also have the community where you can sign up and share your outputs. We really want to get your feedback about what has been presented here. We really want to see the output of your work and the feedback on how it helped you or not create the courses and explore these scenarios that we present.
Panos, I've shared all of the details of this slide in the chat now. So do you
nice
scenarios, and then they can just have a look through.
And we'll be super happy for you to share things in the chat. Even if as you create some of your courses, you can make sure to create them as a free course and send the output here. We'll be happy to comment and go in and help where needed. Lots of scenarios here: employee onboarding, compliance training. Everything is in a business setting. That's the main premise of today's webinar. But you can easily adjust and adapt any of these scenarios for any kind of training needs, whether within a company, whether you're doing external training, customer education, product training, or just selling courses or certifications about a particular topic. So it's very easy to adapt all these frameworks and scenarios and create something that you feel very interested about, and you have some knowledge, and create a course that you really like. I see lots of things happening in the chat. So we'll be here in 30 minutes, Lizzie, to wrap this up.
Yeah, I think 30 minutes, go away, get started. Like I say, feel free to share it later in the week if you want to go further with it, and you can share it in the community from there. But I would suggest getting started and then come back to us with any questions, or if we can help you in any way with what you've put together so far, or if you've got some prompts that you use that you thought were really beneficial, or anything that you want to share, then please do so. And then after those 30 minutes, we'll wrap everything up, and I'll share with you the course information so you guys can log in there and have access to all of the assets. You'll get a list of all of the prompts we've gone over today, and then you can do your free assessment and get certified.
And as we mentioned, this part, you can also do it completed asynchronously. So we know that this has been a really in-depth couple of hours of presenting all this entire framework, but hopefully now everything is clear, and you don't even need to remember that. If you go the way of using the platform, you will see that all the prompts are really pre-engineered within the platform, so you can just play around, use your creativity, choose a subject matter that you are interested in, and start generating some output. I think this is the difficult part is behind us. Now it's the creative part where you interact with the content, you get some really great output out. We are ready to see it today if you're around, or later as you complete the scenarios and submit your work towards the certification. So thanks everyone for staying until here. We'll be around. We'll just shut down our cameras, and we'll be responding on the chat along with our team here with Cosmas and Stefan. We haven't left people. We're here, still here. We see frenzy activity in the chat. Many questions. We'll keep answering to as many as we can. I hope that you are well ahead with your testing and experiments. I saw some questions about from where to start a trial. Just head over to our website. You can also see the link here on the bottom left of this particular slide, but you can just head over to our website, www.learnworlds.com, and from there you can start a 30-day fully functional trial, absolutely free of charge, no questions asked, no strings attached. It already includes a large amount of prepaid prompts for you to use to create an entire course and even more. So technically, you don't even need the Chat GPT trial or paid account. You can just use everything that the LearnWorlds platform trial offers to you. I think we have already shared in the chat all the ways that you can keep being connected with us. The course masters site and the community in there, the LearnWorlds community on Facebook will be around. We'll keep sharing some very valuable material about ChatGPT and more. Already you get access to the ChatGPT prompt engineering book that will give you the theory and the long form of the entire prompts that we use today. But in the practical way, within the trial, you will be able to always use it right away without access to the full prompts.
And we'll be sending a follow-up email with everything, all of the links we've included here, Unity, to the course where you can do the assessment, obviously where you can start a trial, as well as the recording of today and the slides. The asset is already available. If you join the course now, you can access it ahead of completing your assessment.
I didn't get that.
We will also make sure to share the chat transcript. Many people have asked for that. It seems there are some very valuable ideas here and questions and introductions. We already see several people who have already obtained their certification.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have a look at your work as well. There are a couple who are facing some technical issues. I'm not sure what precisely is the problem. We'll get to you as soon as possible.
Some people are asking if you did the assessment, go over to the next and final activity, which is just a certificate. Type in your information and you'll get it.
Yeah, the final activity is just a certificate of completion. It will show the date. It will show the title of the course, your name on it. So it's going to be a personal certificate. Feel free to share it in your social media. Hopefully that has been an engaging and fun and insightful webinar for you. And if you're not already feeling like a ChatGPT master, at least you've demystified it, you've seen what it can do, you're not threatened by it. On the contrary, you will feel empowered to just start playing around and testing it and see how it can also enhance your own productivity and creativity. This is what this webinar is about. This is a technology that is here to stay. This is something that we'll have to keep working with, not against, hopefully in the next few years as creators and as trainers, whatever your role may be. So let's understand it. Let's demystify it. Let's see how it works and find good ways to include it in our day-to-day lives. We said in the beginning that it's not going to replace us. Somebody using it might do it. So let's be prepared. Let's understand how, with some structured work and with our guidance and with a kind of resources that we share with you and will continue sharing, how we can you can also feel more empowered and ready to tackle on new challenges in your line of business. We keep Lizzie here shared again the link. I know that there are many new posts coming in the chat, so it might get lost, but you can always check out the slide that is currently on the screen. You can head over to our coursemasters.com website, course-masters.com, and there you will find the full AI and ChatGPT for professional trainers course materials and the assessment that leads to the certification. So if I may do just a little recap of what we did here today. We started with a very brief intro about ChatGPT, what it is. Obviously, you can find amazing content out there explaining in much more detail, from the theory of large language models to the practicalities to what is currently available out there. We just gave a very brief intro about what it is, and then we proceeded with presenting our own framework that has been built on top of ChatGPT. And instead of starting with pure natural language to grapple with this concept and start to getting some meaningful output, we give you a full framework that you can just copy paste, repurpose, replace with your own variables, and start getting much more elaborate output from Chat GPT. I saw several questions also in the chat about people being worried about intellectual property, whether the output of Chat GPT is detectable or not. We know that most businesses who have published large language models are working also with watermarking, and how can somebody detect content that has been created with watermarking. Keep in mind that what we're doing here with our framework, with our prompt engineering, and with the way that it has been incorporated in the platform, it includes a huge amount of our own creativity and our own prompt engineering. So we're not just writing a simple sentence and expecting a course content, something that thousands of people potentially could do and get identical results. Here, we are asking ChatGPT, we're giving it very precise instructions. We're invoking instructional design theories, Bloom's taxonomy, Merrill, specific assessment frameworks. So these are things that ChatGPT on its own could not come up with easily. It would never, if somebody just asks it to create, whatever, a customer success course or a course about health and fitness, it would never go into such trouble to start generating output like that. So here we've made sure with our own, with this prompt engineering framework and how it has been incorporated into the platform, that we're getting very, very precise answers. And all these little creative snippets that we have added, whether it's the jokes or the Socratic method or anything else, these make sure that the kind of output you get is quite unique. So somebody would either need access to our framework or to the platform to create something that could begin to look like what you may have created. But a random user with just access to Chat GPT, it would be extremely difficult to get output that will have that quality and that level of elaboration. So we presented the framework, we presented lots of the examples and the actual prompts that had been used to create all these different examples, whether it was the comparison tables, the Q&As, whether it was the infographics, all the little types of content that we can have ChatGPT generate for us. And then we saw how this has been implemented in the actual platforms. And everybody that hasn't done it already, feel free to head over now or later or any day, head over to our website, get the trial, and you will see everything implemented very easily in a plug and play way with just a few clicks and buttons. You will be able to get the same kind of output. So hopefully you understood what ChatGPT is, you understood the value of prompt engineering and what the mastery of prompt engineering, how it can help you create content that can be shared right away with students with very small editing and fact checking from you and your team, and hopefully you were able to implement some of the scenarios. We will look forward to see your output and get the feedback on how easy or difficult it has been for you to implement what we taught here today, how you played around with the platform, what were the things that really made an impression on you, or what was difficult and you couldn't really use. Will continue to evolve the platform and evolve how ChatGPT has been integrated organically within every aspect of course generation. We didn't even begin to show how ChatGPT is used along with our website builder. So there are many more things to do, many more workshops from our end to keep helping you to become successful in this space. We really look forward to see some of the outputs that you have created and get your observations and get your feedback. Hopefully some of you will create entire courses and share with the rest of the community so that we can get inspired and we can see how creative you have been, and we'll remain here to help you be successful in the online training space with our platform, with sharing our knowledge. A big thank you from me to Liz and Elisa for helping preparing this content. Obviously to Cosmas and Stephanie and our entire support team that is behind in order to make such an elaborate workshop. As you can understand, many people have been involved and lots of work have been involved so that we can give you something that is very structured and that you can get some amazing knowledge and expertise out of. So that's it from me. I don't know, Lizzie and Elisa, if we're forgetting something that we need to share with our audience here.
No, just that for the course, because a lot of questions here. If you finish the assessment, go on to the next activity to download the actual certificate. Just that, I think, because I've seen a lot of questions.
Yeah, I think in a follow-up email, as we mentioned, we will share the full recording. We will share again the presentation. We'll share the bullets of how you can obtain the certificate. We know that for many people this is very important and has been a big motivation for you to sign up. I want to congratulate everybody who stayed until the very end. This has been a very demanding webinar with all the knowledge that we presented, but also the actual tasks that you have to implement in order to get the certificate. As we mentioned, you don't have to finish today. This can also be done in an asynchronous way. In any case, we are looking forward to seeing the output of your work and meeting you again in one of our future webinars and events. Thanks everyone for staying.
Yeah, thanks for sticking it out. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Enjoy.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.